So Tulsi Gabbard just did a phenomenal speech, which I just happened to watch, and she's talking about everything that my channel and I'm constantly harping on my channel, and also just I just posted not too long ago a video about what happened to me and today. But while she may not use the terms that I use, she calls it corruption, but it's criminal action done under the pseudo legality. And but uh, this is something that Bernie Sanders isn't saying, and this isn't even something that Alexandria Ocasio Cortez has been saying, and or Ro Khanna, or there are a few other very softball done by the freshman people elected to Congress uh, in the House. So but it is by far the most profound and most aggressive uh, form uh, of campaigning, because she is calling out. And while she may not use the terms of calling them criminals and extortionists and traitors and so on and so forth, but my whole thing is whether you have legality or not to go about doing crimes with legality is a treasonous act, is against the American populace. And so it is, however, Tulsi's incredibly powerful speech is actually um, uh, gearing towards what I've been saying. And this uh, gives me some hope that people are waking up. And if you have a politician like Tulsi Gabbard coming out with these very strong uh, uh, and forceful um, terminology, it goes to show that perhaps there is some some uh, awakening happening, and I'm glad to see that it's happening. And I had actually made a video saying that Bernie should run as a VP with either Tulsi Gabbard as the president, or oh God, I can't think of the woman from Georgia, the one that lost the gubernatorial race, but who hasn't acceded to that, and she continues to uh, call that the uh, the Georgia elections was co-opted, and the current governor is illegitimate. Um, at least that's the way I look at it, and that is exactly what it is. And so I can't think of her. Oh, Stacey Abrams. That so I think if Bernie was smart, he would do that because it would fix a lot of the things. And and as we all know, that Bernie is not a male chauvinist, and he's not a racist, and he is a socially conscious gentleman. And although I would like Alexandria Ocasio Cortez and Bernie Sanders uh, to stand up for what's happening, because Tulsi made a point to say that stop doing coups. Don't go after Venezuela. Don't go after Iran because you're you're doing a coup. And Bernie Sanders, to my vast disappointment, told the mainstream establishment line, and and that was not too long ago. And then and to have him be the socially conscious gentleman that I know him to be, and for him to have a talking about a drug that was free and then charging $375,000 because some other company called Catalyst decided to take this drug, which cost nothing to produce, almost nothing to produce, and then co-opt this drug and then charge Americans 375,000. Who has 375,000? Who makes 375,000? Who's a average person? This is ridiculous. Um, but she's calling out the corporate corruption, the intelligence, uh, the criminal actions by the corporations, the criminal actions done by the intelligence, so-called intelligence, um, which includes the FBI, who is naming everybody and anybody who's not an establishment uh, as terrorists. You got them naming Black Lives Matter as terrorists. You got them naming Greenpeace and Oxfam and all. It's like how how incredibly arrogant they are to do this. And this is supposed to be the number one law enforcement agency in the country, and yet they're involved in recruiting terrorism around the world, in pushing terrorism around the world, and going after domestic and international. It's like you got and Tulsi made the point also, basically calling out the intelligence agencies and Homeland Security uh, for creating the Patriot Act. And the politicians who back them. I keep saying it's just because you are elected, just because you have legitimacy, you cannot go and commit treason by enacting policies and legislation, which is treasonous because it applies to the domestic public. And when you do things that are against domestic public interests, where there are actually laws on the books which they've never taken out, and you do them contradicting the laws on the books as well as the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, you're committing treason. So she talked about Trump. She talked about the intelligence infrastructure. She's talking about law enforcement. She's talking about corporations and inequities, and it's a seriously powerful message. And those who are socially conscious, who uh, value laws of equality, should be pounding away at this, should be calling out the criminal treasonous acts done by both Democrats and Republicans with their policies and legislation. Uh, that is what needs to happen. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is uh, a populist message and a populist uh, framework. And when I say populist, I'm talking about the actual citizens. Uh, the level of stress and worry and mental instability caused by mental, emotional, and physical instability done by these legislations and policies, both state and federal, harms us. We got Whole Foods, Walmart, Welch's grape juice and fruit juice company, and corporations are committing crimes, and it's coming to light, and it's something that we should all be aware of. And that's what I was trying to do in my earlier video, talking about what happened at the Acme grocery store in Thorndale, Pennsylvania. I'm trying to inform, and for that, I had the police called on me, and so check out Tulsi Gabbard's 2020 speech, which is very recent. I don't know exactly what date, but check it out, because she's talking exactly what I've been talking about. Perhaps not using the words, but she's using very similar.